Hello folks, welcome to Doing a Tech channel. We are continuing on JavaScript tutorial using FreeCodeCamp website. Let's just navigate to the tab where we stopped on the previous tutorial. Last time we stopped here on this challenge 91, and in this challenge now is introducing the unequal operator. So as you know, previously we learned how to use equal operator, but now we need to use the opposite of equal, which unequal, and it's be very similar syntax. We'll use this couple equal assignment operator, and before that we'll add exclamation, and this will be a strict unequal operators. Unequal operators, so which mean to compare between two values. For example, two variables, the variable value on the left is not equal the variable value on the right, and the type of the variable on the left is not equal the type of the variable on the right. So this is called a strict unequal operator. Asking us to update this here, continue loop to use an equal operator to check while done is not unequal to count. So which we can do same this here, which was doing before, and here was we were using equal operators. So now let's just move the one assignment, and instead of that add exclamation. That mean unequal. Still the parameter will be displayed on the correct shape. Now check your code, submit the changes. That is our pass. Now is asking us we can remove the if statement because the condition now we move it to the while loop instead, so we don't need this condition here anymore, and we can remove this condition. And check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And on this challenge, so now that we're declaring the variable called continue loop, but we are not using it for good practice, so try avoid keep declared values that are not used, removing them. So let's just remove this variable. And now check your code, everything should be still working fine. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes. And in this challenge, so it's explaining that now still the parameter is working fine, but we may get to the point where the while loop will be continuously calling, and that will burn out your project and your machine. And to avoid this problem, so we need to, instead of checking done not equal to count, for example, if done greater than or less than count, that which the loop will be just continuously being called. And to avoid that, now is asking us to update this condition instead of not equal to be less than or equal. So as you remember how we can write less than and equal using this operator here. So this is a less than and one assignment operator, so that which mean less than or equal operator. So now check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And in this challenge we can improve our code and make it more readable by using one of the array method, which the length, to get the total number on an array or total element on an array, as we learned previously. So if we need to access the number of elements, for example inside this rows array, we'll use rows.length will give us the number of this element. By now the default is 0, it will, because we don't have anything, this is an empty array, so will give us a 0. Instead of that is asking us here to change done to use row.length. So as you see, done is starting from 0, and same as where rows.length is starting from 0 initially, and then every time we'll push a new element inside that array, then the array elements will be increased, and then automatically the array.length will be increased as well. So basically it will be very similar to this, but the code will become much cleaner and readable. So instead of done, we are going to use rows.length, so which, as I mentioned, will start from 0. It will be same as this variable here. Now check your code. Sorry, while loop check is less than count, and the error, so it should be less, not less than equal, so just less than count. Now check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And in this challenge now is asking us to replace done with rows.length. Will be rows.length plus 1. This here, this done, instead of this every time, because until this point the rows will be still same as the number of these rows, so we need to increment that by every time by 1. Instead of this done rows plus 1. and now that still will see the same parameter. Now check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And in this challenge now, so no longer we are using dump variables. So as I mentioned previously, for good practice, we don't need to leave any variables that we are not using. Just remove that variable. Now let's just check your code again. There's an error. Let's remove this one here as well. So because we don't use it that anymore, so let's remove done from here. And now check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And in this challenge here, now everything worked perfectly using while loop, same as we used previously for loop. So it's asking now to comment out this while loop. If you remember, you know how we can comment out the multi-line in JavaScript by adding slash and asterisk at the beginning, then asterisk at the end, and then slash, and that will comment out multi-lines in JavaScript. Check your code. Congratulations, your code passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge. And in this challenge now is asking us to actually we can inverse the pyramids to be displayed instead from top to bottom, from bottom to top. And to do that is asking us just to try a different example and practice the JavaScript that we learned until now, the condition and for loop and variables and so on. So I'll give you just a different example to practice these skills we learned already. It's asking us to declare a new for loop. As you remember, to declare to start a for loop, we use for keyword and then parentheses and then object or curly bracket. And inside this parentheses, asking us to declare the iterator I and assign it to the count value, which, as you remember, how we can declare the iterator by using let keyword, then I, then assign it to count variable. So this count is already declared on the top here, so it's 8. Instead of starting from 0, now we start from 8 and then go to the 7, 6 until 0 or 1. And then we'll need to add a semicolon, then declare the condition. The condition now we just add false, and next we'll add the iteration statement on, also it will be false as well. And now check your code. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes and move on to the next challenge, which is the 100. And in this challenge now is asking us to update the condition when I greater than 0. So because we need to start to, as I mentioned, from draw the pyramid from the bottom to the top, we need to invert it way around. Instead starting from to be less than count, which is 8, but it's going to be less than 0, and that we need to update. This is the condition here. I should when I is greater than 0, not less. And check your code. It will take some second. Congratulations, your code is passed. Submit the changes. And now we'll move to this challenge 101, which is going to be in next tutorial. Thank you for watching and see you in the very next tutorial.